Remember what I always tell you? Wash your hands.
Okay.
Wow.
Dad, this is a germ-free zone. Go wash your hands.
Good personal hygiene is important at all times. That's why medical experts recommend Romeo Plus medicated soap. It eradicates over 97% of harmful germs. Healthy families use Romeo Plus medicated soap. Romeo Plus medicated soap. Love, care, protect.
Tuesday, 3rd of November in the year 2015. And of course, we are still, discussing a lot of interesting issues this morning. I'm with Mr. Allan Sakala, who is the aspiring candidate for Munali constituency. Good morning, Mr. Allan. Welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you so much, Mianda. It's a pleasure to be here. And good morning to you viewers.
Okay, we are looking at 51 years down the line, the involvement of young people in politics. First and foremost, are we as young people getting there in terms of involvement in politics? Are we there already?
We are not yet there, and I would say that we're actually very far for us to get there. And there are several reasons as to why we have delayed actually to take up our leading role in terms of shaping the direction of this country. And I think that as we go through the program, we're going to touch some of those barriers that still exist now and that have been a hindrance for the young people to take over leadership. Partly some of it has been the resistance from the old guard, for instance, to give up leadership to the young people that are coming through. People want to perpetuate their stay in office. They do not want to go away and leave others, give others a chance to be able to give also a test of their kind of leadership, especially at a time that the country is stagnating economically, socially, and otherwise. I think that the time is ripe for the young people to take over the mantle of directing this country forward.
I was talking to my colleague yesterday when you were discussing about exactly what you're talking about. Has politics become a business for politicians, or are politicians getting into politics to serve the people? Why is it making some politicians want to stay in office for a longer period of time? Is it because they've got their own interest in office, or are they really there to serve the people? What interest is really there?
First and foremost, I would say that what motivates a lot of people to join politics is not service to the people. It is to be able to find leakages within the system for them to sustain themselves, for them to become rich in life. So people are looking at politics as an opportunity for them to make it big, for social affluence, for them to be rich. That is why so many people are going into politics. They are not going into politics to save the people. And that is why you find that throughout their period in that particular position, they are not even in touch with the people. Even when the people speak, they do not listen to the people, because their motivation to be there is actually selfish interest and not to serve the people. I'll tell you, Mianda, if the people, the leadership class that we had in the last 51 years, was a class that dedicated itself to serving the masses, we were not going to have most of the problems that we have today, which have been created by the selfish interest by the leaders that have been there. So to answer you, people are there for selfish reasons other than serving the masses.
A lot of people say young people are not really ready to take up such positions mentally. They are not ready. We've seen unacceptable behavior from young people. behaviors. For example, I'll just cite a very simple example: University of Zambia, where people riot over simple issues that can be sorted out just by sitting and dialoguing with other stakeholders. What can motivate a person like me, who is a voter, to vote for that young person who I feel is not mentally ready to take up such a huge position, even as a member of parliament?
Okay, first and foremost, I wish to dispel, the aspect that young people are not, mentally ready to take up such a responsibility. What we need to understand, is that there's a classy issue here. There's an issue that, the majority of the youths that are supposed to be in the forefront, to drive the development agenda of this country, are in poverty, okay? And so the old politicians have decided, to take advantage of their situation, the plight of the young people. Okay, here is a youth who is unemployed, and he has a family, and all he needs is a 20 kwacha for him to sustain his family. And they tell him, let's go to, to Kanyama, and fund violence there. He's not going to look at, the moral aspect of that action that is going to take. What he's going to look at is what is going to benefit at the end of the day. So this is an issue, a class morality issue, where politicians have taken advantage of the plight of the youths. That is why you find that it is an investment today for youths to be, to be unaware, for youths to be ignorant. Once the youths become aware, once you empower them with technical skills, they're going to be different. You cannot get them, and give them chibuku for them, to insult another person. Okay, they would want to follow politics based on ideology and manifesto. Now, all these things have run away, and the people who have planted that are the old generation of politicians that want to keep, staying in power and in office. So that is the situation. You find that the University of Zambia, for instance, there will be means and avenues of dialogue that the students' union and other relevant stakeholders are going to engage in, before, taking to the streets. And so to them, the only method that has seemed to be working over the years has been protest, has been demonstration. And that is why you find that when you engage government, at a round table meeting, solutions are not coming forth. So what do you expect from the students? That is why they take to the streets. Not encouraging defiance, not encouraging insolence, but what we are saying is that if our government, our leaders, can be able to, understand the students, the problems that they're going through, and answer them before we get to that particular level, this can be avoided.
But is politics not a game of experience? Is it not as the same as, a job? If I'm looking for a job here at Prime TV as a journalist, I'll be taught 2 years work experience. If I just come as an amateur, do you think I can provide that service that Prime TV is expecting from me? Is it the same with politics? Are people not looking for politicians that have been in the system already than bring a new person on the scene?
Thank you very much. How else is a young person going to get experience if you cannot be able to give that particular young person the necessary exposure for him to take over that particular responsibility? If we sit back and relax and wait for a time that this country will be handed to the young people, that time, trust me, will never come. There will not be any experience that you are going to get that will be delegated to you. The terms of reference are spelled out. What we need is, an issue, fresh blood, issue-based politics. We need a new generation of leaders. The current leadership class, both in the ruling class and opposition, has not been inspiring. It's not inspiring at all. And that is why some of us have, jumped into the bandwagon in order to make sure that, we bring sanity and we bring the necessary new ideas that have been lacking, from the lifeline of this country. And that is why we are there. Nobody should talk about experience. We've had them with quite massive experience. Others have been in politics for the last 40 years, 50 years. What development have they brought to this country? This country today is suffering because of the inactions of the past leadership. So, with all due respect to the experience that they so-called, profess, what have they done to this country? So, it comes to tell us that the theory of experience in politics is a non-starter, because the current political, class of leaders have lamentably failed this country.
Okay, it looks like Kefas wants to come in. He's, you know, eager to also fire some missiles to you. Kefas can go through.
Yeah, I would like to find out, you know, do we really need to, you know, to get rid of the old people for the young people to take up leadership, or what should be the transition from the old to the young people?
Okay, you know, abruptly just discarding the old generation and giving it to the young people would be a huge tactical error. What we need to do, you know, is to be able to allow the old people, you know, to take an advisory role. What we are saying is, we're not saying we get rid of them, but we are asking them to take an advisory role, allow the young people to be, you know, to take the leading role. What it is at the moment is that they are taking the lead role, and they've allowed young people to participate, but their participation has been limited to informal kind of, you know, participation, activism, you know, protests and demonstrations. We're saying we can offer more than that. We cannot be relegated to such functions. You know, when you want civil disobedience, then you come to the youths. When you want a protest, you come to the youths. No, we want to be able to be involved, you know, in a more formal political engagement. For instance, today, in most of these political parties, you actually find that the internal rules and procedures do not favor, you know, support the inclusion of young people. You find the chairperson, the national youth chairperson, is an adult. You find, you know, provincial youth chairperson is an adult. Now, what we are saying is that, can you allow us also as youths, give us policies that are going to support youth inclusion? Why should you give, you know, a national chairperson in a political party to be an adult person? The processes that are there to help the youths must be as youth-driven as possible. That is what we are saying.
But youths getting over ambitious, you know, to take up, you know, such important positions. Isn't it leadership? Isn't it supposed to come from the grassroots? Start as little as you know, maybe in the community. You know, lead a group of youths. From there, jump to be a councillor, and all the way to a member of parliament. But why jump, you know, the ladder from the bottom and all the way to the top?
Actually, we're not advocating for jumping the ladder. What we are saying is that, you know, there must be a process of mentorship. There must be a process to harness that potential. Once you discover that, you know, a certain young person has that relevant potential, what you do is that you harness it, okay? You know, virtue does not come in a vacuum. It's something that needs a lot of work to be done. But at the moment, that is not there. These young people are exposed to leadership positions at a tender age, you know, through, you know, community participation, you know, civic engagement, at the level, you know, in schools. Those are leadership, you know, positions where you can build on. Churches, these are leaders. And those communities are the ones that make up a society. So we are not saying that you jump, you know, to the top. We understand that leadership, you know, you have to start at a certain level. But at the moment, you know, the old generation wants to make sure that they keep out, you know, the youth, you know, from the mainstream of national development. And we are determined to take over this. And we are saying 2016, there will be no compromise in terms of, and we are appealing to all the youths to turn up in numbers to vote, you know, for the constituents of youths across the country, because it's time for us to take over. And we are ready, and it will be done.
And very soon adoption will start from different, you know, political parties. What can be the way to, you know, to the leaders of political parties when it comes to the adoption of the young people? Because these are the people who choose, like, adopt or give the way forward to the young people. Are we going to see the same situation of adopting older people at the expense of the young people? What should be our way?
Mostly what usually happens is that the young people will go out there and begin to do the works. And then we find that as you reach the adoption process, there are certain people, you know, that have got a high, you know, economic status in life that will come and buy that seat.
With money? With
money, yes. Because a political party is going to be looking at, they're looking for resources for them to campaign, you know, nationwide campaign and mobilization. So a young person that does not have, you know, the requisite, you know, resources for a campaign will not be adopted. Not because he lacks the quality, but because his social and economic condition cannot allow that political party to adopt them. Now, we are saying, as the youths, we are the majority in this country. And whether or not our economic situation cannot be compared to the old generation, we are calling for the young generation, you know, to come out and vote for the young people. So we are encouraging young people, those that will not be adopted, to go as independents. because you have got the larger population that will come and vote for you, as long as your participation is qualitative. So that is what we are saying.
So you being one of the aspiring candidates for Munali constituency, I stand to be corrected to be made independent.
Yes.
You stand on independent. What are your chances looking at, because Munali constituency in Lusaka, it's one of the constituencies where most of the young people, they want to be floated on the ballot. What are your chances, you as an individual?
But it's my chances are as high as as they can be, and we should stop the inferiority complex that we have possessed as young people. To say you cannot challenge for such an office. What drives us must be the ideals and issues. For the last, I've followed all the members of parliament we've had in Munali constituency, with keen interest, and actually there is nothing that we can point at to say this was done by this particular member of parliament. So there's nothing that can intimidate me. I'm not intimidated because my purpose and my vision, I'm touched by the sufferings of people. I'm moved by the plight of the youths in the constituency that wake up without any hope that tomorrow will be better than yesterday. And I think that is what we want to bring in, the change that is necessary. It's not